I grew up in a military family. Like, my dad was a field artillery officer in the military, or in the Army, and he did 2 tours in Vietnam before he met my mother, and then they got married, and he decided to stay in the military, and off they went to Hawaii, and that's where I was born. Oddly enough, in the same hospital as my mom, because her father had been in the Army, and that's kind of how it is in my family. Like, we have people in the Army, officers and enlisted, like all the way back through our family tree, and pretty sure my mom can trace them all the way back to like 1776. So you know, junior year rolled around in high school, and I was looking at the expense of the colleges I wanted to go to and the realities of our family situation, and an Army ROTC scholarship application just made sense. So my junior year, I went ahead and applied early decision to the Army ROTC program. First woman in our family to go into the military. So I did, 4 years of ROTC, and did advanced camp the summer between my junior and senior year, and scored a near perfect score out there. And I ended up getting my second choice branch assignment, and I went into the Transportation Corps. That was my very first assignment with Captain Corbett, and we had bulk fuel and water tankers, and that's what we were responsible for. And the funny thing was, at the Army birthday ball that we went to, our OBC class had a table, and we were required to fill it, and so I went. I actually did meet a first lieutenant stationed at Fort Eustis, who ended up becoming my husband later. So Patrick and I continued to stay in touch with each other. He was at Fort Eustis, and I was at Fort Hood, and we continued to date. We'd fly back and forth and see each other when we could, and in April of 2001 he proposed, and we were going to get married in June of 2002, but he was also Transportation Corps, and he got deployment orders to Kosovo in the Balkans in August, and he really wanted to get married before he left. He wanted if anything happened to him, since people were still shooting at each other over there, he wanted the military to acknowledge the fact that I was his wife, not just somebody he was dating. My battalion chaplain agreed to marry us, so I went over to 13th Corps Support Command and asked them if I could use a parade field. So they were like, I don't see why not. So we scheduled to use a parade field on September 8th, 2001, having no idea what was about to happen. 3 days later, my aunt called in a panic, and she said she couldn't get through to my father. And my family was living in Northern Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C., and she was freaking out. And I was like, well, what's the problem? Like, why do you need to get a hold of him? And she's like, don't you have the TV on? And in my grandmother's house, the TV's always on, or was always on. So I said, no, like, Patrick and I were just spending time together and packing up my apartment. And she's like, turn on the TV. So I turned it on just in time to watch the towers fall. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and we both got out our cell phones to call our bosses. And I called my company commander, and he picked up the phone, and all he said was, get in here, and hung it up, and that was it. So, and got to work, and like the whole place was hopping, because Fort Hood had the Ready Brigade at that point in time, which is an entire Army brigade. We're supposed to be able to put them on the ground, combat ready in 72 hours if necessary, and we didn't know like if that was maybe going to be necessary, so our unit was part of supporting them. And meanwhile, my husband had to get back in order to be able to make his deployment, and there were no airplanes to hop on. So I got home from work that night and late, and he had found out he needed to rent a car and get on the road the next morning in order to be on time. So September 12th, we got up early, I put on my uniform, and he headed, and then he went to Kosovo, and I was back at Fort Hood just waiting, and we didn't know whether we were going to get deployment orders in days or weeks, and it ended up being months and months actually, but we didn't know what was going to happen.